Mrs. Johnston Beck, and we are going to apply what we learned in our story, The Lenape, the People of the Seasons. We are going to fill out the last row on our graphic organizer, and we're going to fill in what we learned about the Lenape people. So, the Lenape, their environment, they lived in the eastern woodlands. I am going to write eastern woodlands on the paper. And then I remember that deciduous forest, deciduous trees grew in the woodland. So I'm going to write that on my sheet, deciduous forests. Next, we're going to look at the clothing that the men and women wore. So, the Lenape people, the animal, they used fur from animals to make their clothing and to keep warm during the winter. So, their clothing was made from bear, deer, elk, raccoon, all animals that lived in those eastern woodland forests. And so I added that to the next square on our sheet. We have two more, food and shelter. So, food, we know that the Lenape used food from the animals that were on their land. So, they ate bear, deer, or venison, is what we call deer meat, venison, elk. They also planted crops. So, they ate crops that they planted. They also gathered berries and nuts from the land as well to eat. So I have filled in the third box, and we have one last one, their shelter. What did the Lenape people live in? That's right, they lived in wigwams, or dome-shaped houses that were made from rushed. Their wigwams were made from saplings, rushes, bark, and fur, all items that they were able to get from the forest and animals that lived around them. So I'm adding saplings to our sheet. Saplings, bark, fur, rushes, all to describe wigwams. We have completed activity sheet 1.1 and learned all about students today, the Lakota Sioux and what their environment, clothing, food, and shelter looks like, the Wampanoag, and the Lenape people. We can see how each one of them needed all of these items to survive, but how each group of individual people had different types of environment, clothing, food, and shelter.